All right, National College Football Roundup. Let's recap a couple games from week 3. Texas Tech went to NC State, and man, did they play bad.
Yeah.
27-14 win for NC State. This was an ugly football game. Joey McGuire cannot be happy with how his team played. They just made all kinds of mistakes, man. And anytime it felt like they got a little momentum, it seemed like something went wrong for them. Like they'd have a big negative play. Donovan Smith would get sacked or they'd turn it over, whatever. But Ted, I did not think Donovan Smith played particularly well. And I really don't. I was surprised the situations that Zach Kitley continues to put him in, like just turning him into a drop back passer. I don't feel like they're setting him up for success.
That's the same thing that I thought watching that football game. Good offensive coordinators, and I'm not saying he's not a good coordinator, but you have to adapt what you do to who your players are. And they need to make things a little bit easier for Donovan Smith by using his athleticism, making him stress the defense with some run game stuff, getting him outside of the pocket. It's too much. Like if you're playing a guy that looks like Donovan Smith, please make him throw it from the pocket. That's what we want. That's what a defense wants, him standing back there like a statue looking downfield. When he's out and running, that's whenever the stress comes. So I think they're making it too hard on him, too easy on the defense.
Yeah, and there was a play in this game. Donovan Smith ended up being a lead blocker, and he goes and flattens a corner from NC State. I was just like, whoa. But I can't put all the blame on Tech and what they're doing offensively. NC State, that defense played well. They completely shut down Tech's running game. And I thought Texas Tech's defense did their part, man. I thought they played well enough to win the football game. They held Devin Leary and the Wolfpack. What, they have like 270 total yards of offense? That's a pretty damn solid defensive performance on the road against a veteran team. Tech's offense just let them down. I mean, turn the football over way too much. Special teams mistake, right? You can't muff punts on the road early in the game and give the other team momentum. Just a lot went wrong for the Red Raiders. And honestly, it says quite a bit that the game stayed as close as it did when you look at the score, because man, they made about every mistake you can make.
It is a frustration of mine that it's so, you can tell when teams emphasize special teams and you can tell when they don't. Now, I'm not saying that Oklahoma's not going to make any mistakes on special teams. Sometimes they just happen, right? Guy doesn't have a good read on the ball on a punt, just hits him in the wrong spot and he muffs it. Okay, that stuff is going to happen. But it seems to happen to some teams routinely. But you can just tell it doesn't take very much watching Oklahoma to tell that the new regime emphasizes special teams, right? I mean, it's a part of the game plan. It's a part of what they're doing. It's not just a buffer point before we get the offense the football. Like, it's something to be won or lost in the game, and they attack it that way. Other teams there's so much of it across the country. It's insane. Special teams ruins football games for far too many teams, and it shouldn't have to.
I feel like I've seen more muffed punts ever, like this year, than ever. Like
Mississippi State muffed one last night at LSU.
Yeah. It's just, but not a good performance from Texas Tech. And somehow late in that game, they still had a chance to go and cover the spread, which they also failed at doing. Okay, BYU went to Oregon, and we were very wrong about this game. Holy, 41-20 Ducks, and it wasn't even that close. Now, I will say, Oregon's jerseys were awful. I don't know who thought about
It's like
what.
brown.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, but hey, if they're gonna play that way, wear the poop brown jersey, poop green diarrhea looking jerseys more often because they controlled this entire football game, start to finish. Beat BYU up at the line of scrimmage. I thought Oregon did a nice job running the football. I thought Bo Nix was efficient throwing the ball, did some damage with his legs. Like it was the good version of Bo Nix, was super effective down by the goal line. But the story of this game, man, Oregon's defense, they kept Jaron Hall in check. They held Chris Brooks, who'd been running wild, to 28 yards rushing. Chris Brooks did not look like he had a fun time.
No.
He did not look like he had fun at all. And maybe they fell behind. They fell in that big hole, so maybe they kind of abandoned the game plan a little bit. BYU's typically not built to play from, being down 20-0 or whatever it was. But for Oregon's defense to hold BYU to 61 yards rushing, man, that's a heck of a performance, Ted.
No, it was good bounce back game for them. After that Georgia game was a brutal one, and everyone had left them for dead, but this was a big time win for them against a really solid BYU team. And Bo Nix looked good, man. He was making some throws. He was moving well back there. He looked sharp. If he plays like that all season, they're going to climb back and be a really dangerous football team. But, consistency's been one of his issues. So we'll see how it goes. But I was really impressed with Oregon.
Yeah. And I loved how aggressive Dan Lanning was. They went forward on fourth down a lot. I thought the players rewarded him, right? They're converting all of them. And then Oregon's running backs looked like they were in fast forward compared to BYU's guys on defense. Yeah. Those backs they got, a couple of young guys, man, they got juice.
I think that was maybe the most shocking game of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
I thought
it never felt like BYU had a chance.
No, not at all.
Which, after watching them play Baylor, and I'm not sure what that says about Baylor now, but also college football, like the transitive property doesn't work for college football. It just doesn't.
No, not at all.
I don't know, but impressive stuff from the Oregon Ducks. Okay, last game, and I stayed up to watch this whole one. I kind of regretted it because it was boring as hell, but Miami went to College Station to play Texas A&M. The Aggies end up winning 17-9. Hope you all had the under. We talked about this one being a defensive battle. And yeah, both defenses controlled this football game as anticipated. Ted, it is hard to win on the road when you are settling for field goals constantly. And that's what Miami did this entire football game. 5 field goal attempts, missed one, had one blocked. And that's where their 9 points came from. All field goals. I couldn't believe Mario decided to kick some of them when he did. His game management skills, But ultimately, Miami moved the ball. They just could not execute in the red zone, man. They just could not punch it in the zone. And credit to A&M's defense for it wasn't like a bend but don't break, but they really bowed up in the red zone and shut the door on the Canes.
I'm sorry, but this was a number 13 Miami against the number 24 A&M. This, in my opinion, this football game looked like the 2 run drums of whatever conference you want battling it out. This was not a top 25 football game, right? Is that how it looked to you?
The atmosphere, like just watching it on TV, the atmosphere, it seemed like Kyle Field was rocking, right? But
it was
those Colt leaders were getting everyone going.
Well, you just said it.
It didn't look.
They had a muff punt, a field goal blocked, missed one. You can't go beat a team on the road and do that. as soon as they muffed the punt and gave up a touchdown, like statistically, throughout the history of football, they could have ended the game right there, right? And just saved everyone a bunch of time. Like if you muff a punt, lose it, and give up a touchdown there, it's like 90% of the time you're going to lose.
And not only that, like it was so egregious because A&M's offense has struggled so mightily. Like, how do you hand them? Because remember, they score a couple plays later after that muff punt, and Max Johnson was just kind of out there, right? He was underwhelming. Now he didn't make any critical errors, like the critical errors that Haynes King has been making. So that was a positive, I guess. But I did think Devon Achane was the best player on the field. I thought he was a difference in the football game. And A&M had him. Miami didn't. Things certainly got real interesting there at the end, though, when Anais Smith muffed that punt. I don't know how he got back on that, man. That was an incredible display of, oh, shit, what have I done? Like panic, fast forward movement. You know what I mean?
You know the strength that people get if, like someone's trapped under a car or there's something you have to do to save someone's life. It's the same thing going after a punt that you've muffed. You get that same adrenaline rush.
That's what it looked like. I don't know how he got back on it, but I guess it's a good win for Texas A&M, but I'm with you, man. I don't know. It did not look like a big time game with a lot on the line. I don't know. It was kind of strange.
The A&M's game plan, their strategy to win football games is we are just going to wait this thing out and see if we're lucky enough that you will make the mistakes to hand it to us. That is it. They have no ability to put the pressure on the other team. It's just a waiting game. It's like watching a bobber float around in the pond and maybe a fish is going to bite it. That's what their scheme is.